Hey, Spark Story peeps, this is Allie Craig, and let's talk about 5 ways to share your story and build your status. Because your story is so much more than an inspiration, it should be a way to build your status for what you're doing with your story, how you're bringing it into the world, as well as personally. So, number one, you got to share the verbal. Sounds obvious, right? But you have to talk about your story to people. It's the only way for people to know about it. But as with all storytelling, you always have to tell it from an overcomer perspective. So though there probably are some struggles within your story, it's about sharing how you're where you're at now and where you're going basically. Always on that positive note. Then, if we're going to share the story verbally, number two is to share your story visually. In this day and age of social media and visual obsession, we have to share the story. Now, people do want to see pictures of you. Studies show that the best Instagram feeds that organically grow have 137 selfies a month, which is about 136 selfies a month too much for me personally. But there's so many other ways to visually share your story. You can share something that inspires you and then write copy towards you so you have a visual verbal combination. You can share a photo of you in action. There's so many ways to share your story visually. Be creative. Three is you have to show the relationship. So share your relationships with people. If that's sharing pictures of the people that you work with, client, or if that's just showing loved ones, share the relationships with people because that's a great way to connect. And that always builds your status because it says that, hey, people like you, you're likable. And that's always a good thing. Number four, you have to show the real worldness of it. So stories are great, but to show it in action, show it in reality. And if you can't really show your spark story in action, quote unquote, show the situation in which would spark your story or spark the need for it or, anything like that. It doesn't actually have to be your work in action. Lastly, nugget it. Nugget your story. There's so many parts to your story, I bet, that it can't just be shared all in one section. So find little ways, little examples where you can nugget it. And if you want to know someone who does this really well, you need to go check out moonrootspirit.com, Gina Bell. Gina Bell is amazing at doing this because she has little nuggets of what she calls like her fear chihuahuas or her roller skate example. And she's sharing her spark story in those little nuggets, but they're little takeaways. So it's not here's the soliloquy of Gina Bell and her moon root spirit work, but it's about really showing how to nugget your work and make it digestible and more importantly, desirable, which is always a great way to share your story and build your status.